In a deep, hidden valley, where maps fade and the sun lingers, strangely longer than it should, there lived a tribe whose existence seemed untouched by the hands of time. For centuries, their lives flowed in harmony with the rhythm of the earth, unmarred by the relentless march of time. That was until visitors who stumbled upon them noticed something that turned their blood cold. No one in this tribe grew old. Not a single strand of gray hair adorned the head of the eldest. There were no wrinkled hands or bent backs. The youngest played. The young worked the land with tireless vigor, and the old, well, there weren't any. It wasn't merely peculiar, it was terrifying. This tribe held the secret to eternal youth, but the price they paid for it was more haunting than anyone could have imagined. Over the years, outsiders called it a miracle, a blessing, an enigma. But those who stayed long enough in the valley witnessed something far different. Something darker, more profound, and undeniably eerie. The tribe possessed a horrifying secret, a truth so chilling it defied the natural order of life. It was a truth they guarded fiercely, passed down through generations in hushed tones around crackling fires. It was a truth that whispered in the wind through the trees, a melody of preservation, of sacrifice. As the seasons turned and years rolled by, the bodies of the villagers remained eternally youthful. But the reason behind this eternal youth wasn't a blessing, it was a curse. To truly understand their secret, one must first witness it, experience it firsthand. And the visitor did just that. He was drawn to the valley by an inexplicable force, a whisper on the wind that promised secrets beyond mortal understanding. When he arrived, he found a vibrant community untouched by the ravages of time. Children ran through the meadows with laughter echoing in the hills. Young men and women toiled in the fields, their muscles rippling with the strength of perpetual youth. And the elders, or what should have been the elders, played with the children, their faces smooth and unlined. But as the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the valley, the visitor noticed a change. A hush fell over the village. The games ceased, replaced by a solemn procession. The most senior members of the tribe, those closest to what the outsiders termed old age, were led away from the village center to the heart of the surrounding forest. Days turned into weeks, and the visitor, unable to shake off the haunting melody of the forest, ventured into its depths to uncover the unsettling truth. He followed the winding paths, the very air growing heavy with anticipation. As he pushed through a thicket of ancient trees, he found a clearing bathed in the ethereal glow of moonlight. In the center stood a rough-hewn altar crafted from moss-covered stones. And there, amidst the silent vigil of the towering trees, the horrifying truth was revealed.
The procession had come to a halt here.
The tribe had brought forth their elders to offer them up to the forest, to become one with the roots and rivers, to return to the earth from which they had sprung. The visitor recoiled in horror. At first, he thought he'd stumbled upon a dark ritual, a horrifying practice straight out of his nightmares. But as he watched, as he listened, he began to understand. The tribe wasn't performing an act of violence, but one of reverence, a final gift to the earth. As the full moon ascended higher in the sky, the villagers laid their loved ones onto the stone altar. They wove a tapestry of herbs and bark, creating a sanctuary around the slumbering forms. Then they stood in solemn silence, their faces etched with sorrow, yet also acceptance. Their eyes reflecting the silvery light of the moon, they sang. The melodies were mournful, yet strangely beautiful. They told tales of lives well lived, of lessons learned, and of love shared. It was a celebration of a life lived in harmony with nature, a farewell to the earth that had cradled them from birth. And then, just as abruptly as it began, it ended. The villagers departed, leaving their loved ones enveloped in the cool embrace of the night. The visitor, his heart pounding against his ribs like a trapped bird, made a decision. He would stay. He would watch and wait as the sun painted the sky with hues of crimson and gold. When the first rays touched the horizon, the clearing was empty. The altar bare, the herbs scattered, the only trace of the night before. The visitor, shaken to his core, realized the horrifying truth. The tribe didn't merely lay their elders to rest. They offered them to the forest, becoming one with the soil, the water, the very essence of the earth. He saw now how the absence of age was a carefully orchestrated dance of life and death, a balance maintained by the tribe's terrifying custom. Yet in the midst of this macabre spectacle, he sensed a profound sense of peace. It was a peace born of acceptance, of unity with the natural world, a peace that transcended the fear of death, embracing instead the eternal cycle of life. Back in the village, the visitor sought answers. He spoke to the villagers, sharing stories of the outside world, of time's relentless passage, of lives lived and lost. In return, he asked about their ways, about their secrets, about the melody of the forest. And the villagers, sensing his genuine curiosity, his yearning to understand, shared their beliefs. They spoke of a world where sickness didn't linger, where death didn't steal their loved ones, where the earth embraced them not in sorrow, but in celebration. They spoke of the melody of the forest, a song of ages past, a song that echoed the wisdom of their ancestors. It was a philosophy that seemed alien to him, yet oddly compelling. The visitor grappled with the implications. I saw the health and vitality that pervaded the tribe, the unwavering strength that allowed them to thrive in harmony with their environment. Yet he also witnessed the haunting cost, the absence of stories left untold, the voices that never grew old, the songs that died with the setting sun. He understood now why the tribe thrived, why they resisted the natural order of things, why they offered themselves to the melody of the forest. It was a choice, a conscious decision to exist in perpetual youth, to live in harmony with nature, to deny the passage of time. But as he pondered their ways, a profound question echoed in his mind. Was eternal youth worth the cost of never growing old? Was a life lived in perpetual vigor and health worth the denial of wisdom etched by time? Was the absence of wrinkles and gray hair a worthy trade for the silencing of stories and the fading of memories? The visitor found himself torn between the two worlds, the relentless march of time he knew and the timeless existence of the tribe. He felt the pull of both, the familiarity of his own world and the strange allure of this hidden valley. He began to see the wisdom in their ways, the beauty in their sacrifice, the strength in their unity with nature. Yet he also saw the haunting reality of their existence, the tragedy of lives lived without endings, of moments lost to the eternal present. Finally, when the time came for him to leave, he carried with him the haunting melody of the forest, the laughter of ageless children, and the wisdom of elders who danced with death. He left with a heart full of understanding, of respect, and of sorrow. Back in the world he knew, he carried the memory of the timeless tribe, their ways, their beliefs, their sacrifices. He became their voice, sharing their story with those who yearned to hear it. He spoke of a tribe where no one grew old, where death was embraced, and where life unfolded in a melody of perpetual youth. His tales captivated, horrified, and stirred the souls of his listeners. He painted pictures of a world untouched by time, where the sun lingered longer and the earth sang an ancient song. But as the years passed, he often found himself drawn back to the valley, back to the melody of the forest. He felt the pull of the timeless, the echo of the ancient song. He longed for the youthful vigor he'd witnessed, for the wisdom born of sacrifice. And each time he returned, he carried with him more stories, more whispers of the outside world. He became a bridge between two realities, the relentless march of time and the timeless embrace of the forest. He understood now that the secret of eternal youth came at a terrible price, the denial of age, the absence of wisdom, the forgetting of stories. Yet he couldn't help but wonder if perhaps in another life he'd choose to live that melody, to dance with death, to exist in the heart of the forest where the sun lingers longer and the earth remembers all.